Hello everyone, this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on February 27, 2014, and right from the get-go, I feel they've been doing a better job as of late, at least creating other interesting storylines, considering the fact that I'm no longer really interested in the MVP and the whole control of over TNA, because I just don't feel like it's a believable storyline. They're obviously doing the best with what they have, and MVP's promo skills are obviously really good, and he's actually been. I also feel like it's been the other big problem's been it's too early for him to be in the ring on this aspect, but they obviously went that route, and I've always liked his in-ring skills in the past, but I felt it was a little too soon for him to start getting into the ring. And obviously, I feel like a lot of people aren't liking where the storyline is going, because it's kind of coming to a close really quickly, where they're actually going with a match with full control over TNA with the Lethal Lockdown match. And usually something like that, when they're trying those kind of storylines, is somewhere like 4 or 5 months down the road, not like a month and a half down the road. So it really feels like they're going along with this storyline and trying to end it really quickly. The setup for the Magnus and Joe match, with the contract signing, it was okay. And again, I've not liked Magnus's reign so far, and then them making it a submission or knockout only match in there. I feel that's a decent rule for the Lockdown pay-per-view, considering it seems like all the matches are going to be inside the steel cage again this time around instead of just a few of them. It's good to see a slight difference, nothing that makes it overly complicated for the cage match, but just a slight difference in each of the different cage matches that will at least give them something a little bit special or something a little bit different to them. So adding a little rule like, it can only be won by submission or knockout, or by pinfall or submission only, something in that case, I definitely like where they're going with things like that. Also, I like it where I do like the Gunner and James Storm storyline, where James Storm's finally turned on Gunner during his world title match. Now, Grant, it makes it on one area like, why do they even bother with the Feast or Fired cases at this point? Because it never seems to really pan out in the end. You feel like when you get the Money in the Bank contract in WWE, you feel like, okay, this person's going to get a push, and they might get a world title down the road at some point. In TNA, it doesn't feel like that person who gets a Feast or Fire briefcase is actually getting a push at all, and more than likely they're going to lose the match versus anything and be back exactly where they were. But like I say, I feel that the James Storm and Gunner storyline, it's been evolving. You've been waiting for the turn to happen, and now that it has happened, you're going to get this hopefully really good and interesting payoff in the end with their match at Lockdown. And I like the segments that they had in the ring and backstage as well. They did a really good job with that, just with their building of this storyline so far. The only thing that I find, I don't mind it so much, but I find it a little exhausting, is the amount of turns we've been seeing recently. Obviously, you just had James Storm turn, and then this week you had Austin Aries turn heel again. And now he's been turning face and heel so many different times, it's hard to keep track at some points. He's always worked better as a heel, so that's not the biggest problem. It's just, okay, we just had one big heel turn, now we have another big heel turn the very next week. So it kind of gets exhausting. Obviously, they're putting him on Bobby Roode's team with Lethal Lockdown and everything, so you have to make him heel. But that's one aspect that I don't like seeing so often, is a good, like, you want to do your face and heel turns sparingly, so you don't get exhausted with it, or it doesn't become like a cliche. It's like, okay, who's going to turn face or who's going to turn heel this week? the other area, and that definitely leads, since they were playing the storyline, like who was Austin Aries going to be with, and obviously he chose Bobby Roode's team. It does play into a storyline with who's going to be on MVP's team, and I have a good feeling of where they're going with this because they've been doing the whole Willow promos over the last couple weeks. Basically, Jeff Hardy's new character. I don't like it to begin with. Jeff Hardy's at his point in his career that a name change and gimmick change really doesn't suit him because it falls under maybe a gimmick change. Yes, could work for him, but not necessarily a name change because everybody already knows who he is at this point in time. So I'm not liking where the Willow character is going, but I feel like it's a good possibility that they'll make him the fourth person on MVP's team, and that might not necessarily be a bad thing. And we'll see. Like I said, I haven't been liking the Willow promos so far, but we'll have to see him live and in action, like how his character is going to come off on TV. Obviously, you're going to have the same Jeff Hardy type move set and everything like that, so that's going to be nothing different. His in-ring style shouldn't change much, but the character itself is changing, and I just don't like the name change at this point in time because, like I said, it's not Jeff Hardy's at his point in his career where a name change is not necessary. So yeah, overall I felt that even though a lot of focus going on with the MVP and Dixie Carter storyline, which I don't really care for. Obviously, I haven't been caring for Magnus as the world champion, though. At least it's a little bit more interesting this time around with the cage match and how they're going to be and how the rules are set up for it. It's not just going to be hopefully not some kind of just cluster of everything and different run-ins and everything like that at Lockdown. Hopefully it's just they decide to go with some kind of straightforward match in some way, shape, or form, because those having all those run-ins and always making it no DQ and everything has been kind of exhausting with his world title matches throughout the entire run. So hopefully we see something a little bit different at the Lockdown pay-per-view itself as well. Also, I definitely am liking where they're going with the EC3 character. His deal with Kurt Angle has been great, so at least so far it has been. The only thing I wish they would stop using his TNA Hall of Fame induction type time for storyline purposes, but it's only going to happen though. That's only going to happen though one more time, so at least that won't be a usage for the future for Kurt Angle as well. But I definitely like where they've been going with EC3. I like his little interactions with Magnus as well, and almost making it seem like you might get an EC3 turn to face turn at some point in time down the road. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit further down the road. He's got his deal with Kurt Angle, maybe another couple matches after the pay-per-view as well. So there's definitely been some good and some things I've not been liking with TNA recently. And this Impact definitely was no different in that as well. So, yep, that's my review this week for TNA Impact Wrestling, and I thank you guys for watching.